Hi, and welcome to our webinar. If you're watching this live, please find the chat and say hello. Share your role, your school, and your district, and also share about if you have taught online before. If you know our department, you know that we had a conference that was canceled for April about the transformative learning. Our theme was to lead from where you are, and there is no better time than right now to think about leading from where you are, since everyone is having to lead from a different place than we were just a week ago. Here is our Region 10 Digital and Distance Learning team. Please feel free to reach out and contact any of us if you need assistance. We are here to help you. Right now, we have our webinar series Monday through Friday. You can go to this link and get more information about what's coming up. We will have new sessions coming, and those will be shared for next week. So this session is about, are you teaching online for the first time? It's a new experience, and I'm here to tell you all about it. A little about me. I was an elementary school teacher. I taught second grade before I left to go back and get my graduate degree and to start teaching online over 20 years ago. I've seen a lot of things change. I've experienced a lot, and I know what a challenge that you are facing. And I know that it's going to be very strange for you, but I also know from experience that you're going to be okay. Let's talk about, what do you need to consider first? There's a lot you have to consider. But first, you need to think about, how are you going to be providing the materials to the students? Does your district provide a learning management system such as Google Classrooms, Canvas, Schoology, Neo, or any other number of resources that are out there? Are you going to be emailing the parents or the students? Is everything going to happen via email? Are you going to be posting it on a class website? Or are you going to have to use hard copy packets, and how is that going to look for you? Those are all things that you need to consider and have an answer for. So you know what you're using. What next? You have to start planning. You are not going to be able to cover everything that you thought you were. You just can't. You're going to need to reduce it by about half. You are going to want to focus on exactly what you want the students to know, because you aren't going to have as much material for them or as much work for them, because it does take much longer for students to do it online, as well as for you to create the materials for online learning. So really think about what students need to know from your lessons at that point. Don't overwhelm yourself when you're planning. Start small. Think about a single day per subject. Think about just one subject and what you're going to teach in that subject before you move to the next subject. How it plays out and how you develop, I'm thinking of it from an elementary classroom perspective, where I have all the subjects in one day. Focus on one subject before you move to the next subject. It can all happen in the same day of teaching, but just think about it small piece by small piece so that you do not get overwhelmed. With instructions, when you're writing your instructions, the more information you give, the better. Students aren't going to be able to raise their hand and ask you questions, so you're going to want to write out all the possibilities. You know your students. You know the type of questions they're going to ask. So go ahead and get that written ahead of time, and that way you avoid some confusion and other questions you'll be getting later. And then you need to figure out your navigation. What does navigation mean? Well, it's how you're going to set up your day. How are your students going to navigate through your materials? If you're using a learning management system, you're going to set it up there, and you'll have the navigation of how they are moving through the material. If you're using email, figure out how you're going to get the information to the student. Is everything going to come in a single email at a single moment in time? Or are you going to pace it throughout the day? Are your students supposed to be doing this at the same time? And that raises other questions, such as, do they have technology? So really think about how you want your students to go through the class. I hate to tell you, but not all face-to-face activities will work online. A lot can be adapted to online learning. There are many, many resources out there to help you with that. But not everything is going to work. So really think about what you want to do online, how you want the students to do it, and focus on that. Are you going to have students interact with each other? If so, is it going to be synchronously or asynchronously? A synchronous example is here. We're on this Zoom session and we're talking. An asynchronous idea would be to use a discussion board. Or are they emailing each other in the class? How are you going to have them talk and interact if you are at all? Think about how your students learn. Do your students learn from just reading, or do they learn by listening? You need to have different options for different students. You need to have a choice. You need to have something where you're reaching the students, where they get to learn the information. Listening, maybe you record an audio, a little audio clip that they can listen to and hear you and get that understanding that way. By reading, you just have your instructions written out. An accommodation. Your students who need accommodations in class are going to need accommodations online. So you're going to need to think about how that's going to look for your classroom. All right, so you understand planning. What comes next? Communication. This is an area that you really need to think about. It is extremely important. When you communicate with the students, you are helping them maintain a sense of normalcy. When they get to hear from you, they're like, okay, I know that this is okay because I have my comfort. School is such a comfort, and you as the teacher are such a comfort to the students that when they hear from you, it presents them a little bit of a sense of calmness. You can communicate synchronously or asynchronously. Again, like I said earlier, it could be in like a Zoom session, a Google Hangout, or you could be posting a video that you've taken, just a short clip with your phone. Or you could be sending emails or using announcements or texts, whatever you have decided. Which brings us to the question, how are you going to communicate? Are you going to be sending emails? Will you be using an announcement feature within your learning management system? Are you going to use discussions, chat sessions, dojo, remind, text messages? If you have already been communicating with your students all year, please continue to do it that way. It helps them maintain the sense of consistency that they need. And you already have it set up. When you are communicating with your students online, in the written form, make sure that you watch your tone. I know that I personally can be very sarcastic, not in a mean way, ever, but I know that that tone does not work well in the online environment. So I have to really watch how I say something. I might use a lot of smileys, but I have to watch how it's said so that the students don't interpret it incorrectly. Provide a lot of encouragement. E-learning is so different, and it can be really scary for your kids. So make sure they know that they're doing a good job. Make sure that they understand everyone is in this together and really encourage them to keep going. And if you're using videos or even in emails, use the students' names so that they can hear you say their name and they're like, okay, again, it takes it back to that sense of calm. They know that you remember them and they know that by hearing you that things might be okay. All right, there is a lot of things that you have to think about with communication. So what do you do next? The next part is for your sanity. Set a schedule and stick to it. A schedule means when are you going to be grading assignments? Have a day of the week planned and set aside for that's what you're going to do. And make sure that it is communicated to the students of that expectation of this is when I'm going to do this, so that they're not constantly sending you messages going, did I get a grade yet? So have that on your schedule and let your students know. Figure out when you are going to check in on your classes. When are you going to be doing your classwork for the students? Have that time set aside and set in for essentially in your own type of stone so that that is when you do the work and then you leave it. Let people know your response time. Let them know when you'll be responding. If they send you an email, let them know if it's going to take 24 hours to respond. If they email you between the school hours that you'll respond in that time, let them know. But also put it on your schedule of when you are going to be doing that responding. Online teaching takes a lot of time and a lot of work, and it can seem very lonely. So please practice self-care. Take a break when you're doing this. Stand up and stretch. Do something for you, whether that's going for a walk around the neighborhood, reading a book, or watching a TV show that you wanted to get caught up on. Do something for you. So, if you're here live, let's talk. What about online teaching makes you the most nervous? If you're watching the recording, think about what makes you nervous, and please feel free to send me an email to let me know. I'd be happy to help answer your questions that way. So right now, it might seem that you're in the middle of the ocean, all by yourself, but you are not alone. You really and truly are not alone. Here's a resource that we have provided for you with our R10 remote. It's a brand new website. It has a lot of information. Please feel free to check it out at your own convenience. We know that you can do this, and we know that we can help you. Don't hesitate to use our hashtag R10remote. We are checking in on Twitter to see what people are asking or what suggestions are being provided. Again, if you need to get in touch with me, please do. Any of us are willing to help. On Saturday, March 21st, there is going to be a coffee EDU, and it's going to be done via Zoom this time. So grab your cup of coffee and come along and have the discussion. The room will be shared, probably if you check this hashtag on Twitter. So, how to teach online and how to lead from where you are. You can find these slides at bit.ly/R10 teaching online. Again, we have our webinar scheduled out through Friday. Please feel free to drop in and watch another one of our sessions. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. Good luck, and let us know how we can help.